Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing tonight? Hello, hello, hello. It's Saturday. It's Saturday. So I'm here. I wanted to bring forth a new case. I want to recall a case that I did. I would say about maybe about 6 weeks ago. Do you guys remember Courtney Gordon? I think that was his last name. Courtney. Yeah, it was Courtney. He was the man out of Queens, New York, that unalived his family members, his two younger cousins. There were about four people, and his aunt, who was about 61, she survived the stabbing. And when he came out, he set the property on fire, and the police had came upon the scene, and they stopped him, and they were telling him, they were called, they received a 911 call, and then he stabbed both officers. The case that I'm bringing tonight, to me, it's very similar when you have someone within the family that is now inflicting violence on the family. This particular case, this was death by a GUN, whereas in the Courtney Gordon's case, it was much more gruesome with the stabbings. He had used a regular kitchen style knife, whereas with the GUN, it's not as vicious, it's not as heinous. However, the body count is much higher in the Courtney Gordon case. It was five victims, four unalive. In this case, there are nine victims, eight unalive, all through gunshots. And again, I've kind of said this in the videos. We have to start looking at behaviors, people's mindset, and possibly mental health, right? I know in the Courtney Gordon case, the mom and the sister came forward, and they were talking about, there were issues, there had been issues before in the past. We attempted to get help for him, which it was to no avail. I apologize, there's a little color on my lips. Just a little bit. Okay, I apologize about that. Uh, but overall, it was something that the family expressed that there was some mental health issues going on. He did have somewhat of a criminal record of violence where he really didn't have a real punishment, do time in jail, and it was concern for the family. He didn't live with mom. He lived with his dad's sister, and a first trigger to me was, why don't you live with mom? Well, mom knew his behavior. Mom knew what he was capable of. Mom was probably afraid of him. And mom was not going to have him residing with her where she has to rest, close her eyes, and hope that he's not going to have issues and act out in violence, right? So in this case, I feel like it's similar, you have within the family dynamic, a family member attacking, unaliving, harming, injuring other family members, multiple family members. And the big question is why? A lot of times we just don't understand. We're puzzled. We don't get why. Why is this happening? We want a reason. We want to know, did this just suddenly become anger, rage, and the person is acting out? When in all honesty, you know, people tend to show themselves, show who they are. If they're more prone to violence, if they're willing to go straight to violence, if they have no ability to resolve problems, they don't believe in conflict resolution, they don't believe in talking things out. They easily get aroused with anger. They're willing to act out in anger. They're vicious, aggressive, argumentative, difficult to deal with. People may fear them. People may feel how they act out. They can't be controlled. They can't be talked down. You might want to monitor them and their behavior or their temper. Are they going to be explosive when they get mad? We have to see these as red flags, as triggers. And again, my motto is go the other way. Get out of there, get away, go and live your life in peace. Don't be around people that tend to carry these negative traits, negative characteristics. Um, at some point, we have to just call out what it is. Some people in our families, we know who they are. We know who's explosive, who gets angry, who acts out in violence, who's quick to, do something without thinking. And in this case, you can't come back from it, right? You can't come back from this level of violence. And what could he do? Go to prison? Spend the rest of his life in prison? These people are going to try to get away. They may to go the route of suicide, unaliving themselves when they have, did so many heinous acts. Sometimes people just want out. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to go to court. They don't want to go to a trial. They don't want to go to prison. If you can remember, there was another case, Nagazi Zuberi, when they found him in that Walmart parking lot. He was in the car with his wife and son, allegedly. He tried to unalive himself. He cut himself. So we cannot anticipate that certain people are not going to do these things and take others with them. Some people just want to harm as many people as they can. And even though we have no idea why he did this, it's unclear. We don't know. We can't even imagine why somebody would want to hurt all of their family members, but they do. They do, and they try to take out as many people as they can with them. And it's sad, it's unfortunate, but we have to start trying to get people help before it gets to this point. Okay, so let's talk about it. Now, on the Hidden Horror Facebook page, I have shared an article. It's from CBSnews.com. It's dated January 24th, 2024. The authors are Todd Fuhrer, Marbell Gonzalez, and Megan Hickey. The title of the article is Motive Unclear in 8 Shooting Deaths in Joliet, Illinois, after suspected gunman found unalive in Texas. Now, let me just say this, certain areas, they have a really high crime rate, and they have a high level of violence and murders. We have major cities across the country that have experienced very, very, very high numbers in crime and also murders. So in this particular instance, this case is coming out of the state of Illinois, and we already know that has a major, major city. So we are going to hear more about acts of violence in certain cities, certain areas. But this is probably Joliet. It's probably rocked their smaller city because this is something unheard. That's why titled is arguably the worst crime ever in Joliet. They probably don't experience a lot of murders, very, very heinous acts of violence there. So unfortunately, crime has no boundaries. And it's getting worse in a lot of areas where people are acting out in extreme ways, causing to harm as many people as they can. So let's get to the article. Investigators have not yet determined a motive for the shooting deaths of 8 people in Joliet after the suspected gunman was found dead by apparent suicide in Texas on Monday night. So everything happened fairly quickly. I believe all of the shootings was on Sunday. He was able to leave the state of Illinois, travel to Texas, and then that's where he was found dead in Texas. Okay, just to catch you up, if you didn't know that. Okay, it says we can't get inside his head. We just don't have any clues as to why he did what he did. Joliet Police Chief Bill Evans said Tuesday afternoon of the suspected shooter, 23-year-old Romeo Nance. Now, they have been doing press conferences kind of going over the case. I'm not going to show that or anything like that, but um, I didn't find the press conferences to really add any additional value separate from the article. It just seemed to be that they were really trying to figure out, why did this happen and was there any signs? There's always signs. Nobody just shows up without some type of building up of this behavior, this attitude, aggression, frustration, anger, violence. People usually don't just switch on and switch off. It's something that's been there. It's something that they've shown. Maybe they don't like to be challenged. Maybe they don't like to be questioned. Um, Maybe they don't like to feel like they're controlled. You always have signs and instances like this where there's extreme violence. It usually leads up to a point where a person acts. So I don't know how they haven't figured it out. I guess because so many of the people that would know him have been unalived. Maybe that's why. But let's keep reading. Evan Evans said investigators believe the shooting spree began at two homes across the street from each other in the 2200 block of West Acres Road on Sunday, although the seven people who were unalive there were not found until Monday morning. So, what they're saying is you have a street, one house on this side of the street, and then directly across from that, the other house. So, you have two houses on the same block where the person went from one house to the other house and unalive these people. And all of this happened on Sunday, but their bodies weren't actually discovered until Monday. So this is giving the assailant time to move, to get away. That's how he was able to travel down to Texas. Okay, so let's continue. The incident has had a tremendous impact on the city of Joliet, said Evans. It's had a tremendous impact on my agency, both mentally and physically. And what the police are saying, or law enforcement is saying, is it's very hard to serve as a police officer in law enforcement when you're going day in and day out onto these crime scenes. You're seeing heinous acts, you're seeing violence, you're seeing people unalive. And mentally, it takes a toll on you. And to see young people is very hard. I talk about this, I'm sure, in several other videos over this time period. But a lot of people get out of law enforcement, they retire. Um, it just takes a toll on you mentally when you're going day in and day out, especially in some of these states that have major cities. Now, Joliet is not a major city in Illinois. However, you have the main major city, which is Chicago, but they don't want to see this. People don't want to face this type of crime and crime scene and just the devastation and people lives taken and multiple crime scenes. You have two there, and then you also have the shooting when he was driving. So it's just so much for them to handle and process. Okay, so let's talk about the relationships of the seven people that were dead. Five people, two girls, ages 14 and 16, two women, Alexandria Nance, 20. So they're not giving the minors, they're not releasing their names, okay? The 14 and 16-year-old. Okay, two women, Alexandria Nance, 20, and Christine Esters, 38, and a 31-year-old man, Joshua Nance, were found unalive in one house at 2212 West Acres Road. And two people, a 35-year-old man, William Esters, and a 40-year-old woman, Tamika Nance, were found unalive, and the other at 2225 West Acres Road, according to Evans and the Will County Coroner's Office. So it sounds like all of these victims are related, are interrelated by family, okay? Tamika Nance was Romeo Nance's mother. Christine Esters was his aunt, and William Esters was his uncle. He also fatally shot a brother, Joshua Nance, and three sisters, Alexandria Nance, and a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old whose names were not released. Neighbors said Romeo Nance lived at 2212 West Acres Road. Evans said Nance was related to most, if not all, of the people in the two homes. Although their exact relationships with one another and Nance are not yet clear, we're still sorting through that, Evans said. Investigators believe after the shootings on West Acres Road, Nance then shot a 42-year-old man in the leg Sunday afternoon in the 200 block of Davis Street in Joliet. That man was the only victim to survive the shooting spree. Now, I'm going to tell you a good chance why is when you're contained in a house, you can't really get away. You can't really hide. With the person has a GUN, it's hard to get away and it's hard to hide. And then you go across the street and you unalive the other people the same way. But if you're in a car and you're passing by, some of those shots may miss them. A person may duck, they may run, they may try to hide, they may try to get away. So he locked up, right? You know, he may have missed a couple of shots, and the shots that probably did hit the victim, they probably were not life threatening, right? But if you're in a home and you're close up, you may be able to put that GUN right up against major organs or the head, things like that, to execute a person. They'll know from the autopsies, okay? So let's continue on. It was 9 gunshots, said neighbor Curtis Ellis. That's a whole clip that he was trying to load in this guy. And lucky that he just didn't hit a vital organ. Didn't I just say that? I literally just said that. Okay. Around 4:15 p.m. Sunday, surveillance video shows a red Toyota Camry associated with Nance passing by a man taking out his groceries. The driver of the Camry says something to the man taking out the groceries and then drives to the end of the block before making a U-turn, stopping and firing 9 times. So this man is literally just at his home taking out the groceries of his car. That's it. He stops him. He says something to him. I guess he pulled off and maybe he thought about it some more and he got just like that. Anger, just like that. Response, just like that. Not controllable, not thinking. Out of control. And he makes a U-turn. He's angry. And then he unloads. Shoots at him 9 times. Okay, let's keep going. About 10 minutes later, investigators believe Nance shot and unalived 28-year-old Toyosi Bakari at the Pheasant Run Apartments complex in an unincorporated Joliet Township on Sunday afternoon. Bakari, who was originally from Nigeria and lived in the U.S. for about 3 years, was found bleeding on the ground from a gunshot wound. He was rushed to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. I'm guessing as he left from shooting the man that was taking the groceries out of his car, as he continued on, within 10 minutes, he found another target, which was Mr. Bakari, and he shot at him, but he probably hit a major organ and they could not save him. unfortunately. Yeah, he was on a rampage. I think they call these killings a murder spree when you're going in the same day from one scene to another scene. You're a spree. You're on a murder spree. So he started at his residence, then across the street. Then, as he's driving along, you see a man taking his groceries out the car. He shoots him. Then he continues on. 10 minutes later, sees another man in an apartment complex, shoots at him. This is a murder spree. What they're describing, his behavior is definitely considered a murder spree. I'm gonna put that on Hidden Horror Facebook page. Okay, I will do that after this video. Okay, let's continue on. Detectives had learned that Bakari had left his home to buy cigarettes at a local gas station when he was shot. So he was literally just going out to buy a pack of cigarettes, and out of nowhere, he's unalive. It's just really sad. While Will County Sheriff's detectives were investigating Bakari's shooting death, they began a search for the red Toyota Camry Nance was believed to be driving. When their search came up empty, authorities set up surveillance at Nance's last known address on the 2200 block of West Acres Road. Well, I'm guessing once he did both shootings at both properties, he probably wasn't going to go back home, because if you're shooting that GUN, people can hear it. They may have seen you leave. People may know you live there. And if your body isn't there, of course, people are going to wonder, where are you? And think possibly you did it, particularly if they know your personality. If you're quick to anger and violence, they may suspect that you are the assailant. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going. Monday morning, deputies walked to the home where the Toyota's registered owner lived on West Acres Road, and when they got no answer, they went to a house across the street where a relative of the car's owner lived. Deputies found blood at that home and then went into both houses, where they found a total of 7 people dead. So the death of Bakari, the Nigerian man that was shot, that was going out for the cigarettes, they got a description of the shooter's vehicle, which was the red Toyota Camry. Because they believed he was the shooter, they used that description. They came up and used that description. They went over to the property on Acres Road. When they went to the property where the register owner lived, nobody answered. So when they went across the street, where the relatives was the car's owner lived, they found the blood. And then they end up going into both the houses and discovering the 7 bodies. Now, let me just say this. I can only imagine law enforcement's angle. They're going to look for the vehicle. They have the description, they have the address, they know where the vehicle should be. Nobody comes to the door. However, they know that the register owner, that address is directly across the street, and they're thinking, well, we're already here. We might as well go across the street and check and see if there's anybody over there. And when they go across the street, they see blood. They have to do a welfare check now. They go into this property. They discover the murders. That makes them think, we better go across the street also. They go across the street, and they also find the unalivings of those people as well. Now, this is where it gets very hard for law enforcement. You're going in looking for a suspect. You're not even thinking, considering that you're going to come upon these are crime scenes and discover 7 unalivings. It's just so hard, law enforcement it's really tough. It's tough to be a police officer, to work in these areas because every day it has its challenges. Every day is a new day where you're faced with all type of things. That's really hard. Okay, let's continue on. So they found all 7 people unalive. Okay, Evans said investigators have not yet found a link between the victims on West Acres Road and the other 2 shootings, nor have they found a motive for any of the slayings. And again, I know some people they want to treat it as a puzzle. They want to put this puzzle together. They want to find all the pieces. But I have grown to accept that there is a such thing as evil. A lot of people don't understand it. I think if you have been, dealing with crime for years and years and years, you've been to so many crime scenes, you've seen so many different scenes. You've seen suicides, you've seen murders, you've seen scenes involving kids, you've investigated assaults. You've seen a lot. You've seen beheadings. You've seen people dumped in the woods. You've seen people submerged. You've seen people in rain and cold. You've seen people in heat. We grow to learn that there is evil, that people are operating from a place of self-preservation. Um, their mind is not stable. They're angry. They're willing to hurt, harm, um, may even torture or cause someone to suffer. Um, so for us, you really don't need a lot of the puzzle. But I get it. You want to know, what caused it, what happened. Some people's existence, I mean, just their mere existence, a normal life, that's fragile for people. A lot of people don't have that. So, people want to take that away from you. Okay. So they're seeking a motive. It can't just be that this person is just happen to be, outside unloading their groceries and a car comes upon them and now they're a target. They're a victim. It's unfortunate. It's just, I don't want to say just out of luck or no luck, but sometimes you can't explain why someone does the things that they're doing outside of evil, outside of opportunity. Maybe they felt they didn't have the ability to garnish a weapon or defend themselves, and they may feel like they could get away with it, and that's why they did it. I don't know. It says in many cases like this, we may never know the truth or the motives behind these senseless unaliving, said Will County Sheriff's Deputy Chief Dan Jungles. Jungles said it's apparent that robbery was not a motive in Bakari's death, noting money was found in the area near his body. Investigators determined Bakari had left his home to buy cigarettes at a local gas station at the time he was unalive. While investigating the murders on Monday, investigators learned Nance likely was on his way to Texas. Investigators believe at some point while he was in Texas, he pulled into a shopping mall parking lot where he stole the license plates from another car and put them on the Toyota in an attempt to throw investigators off his trail. Well, changing the license plate is not going to be enough. You're in that red Toyota Camry. That's going to stand out. That color is going to stand out, which means they're going to stop you if they put be on the lookout on the vehicle, which I'm sure they did, not thinking that what happened in Illinois would get all the way to Texas. But hey, um, People are traveling, they're trying to run away from the scene. Working with federal authorities and other law enforcement officials in Texas, a helicopter was able to locate Nance's car on Interstate 35. The local sheriff's office was notified as Nance crossed from Bexar County into Medina County in Texas. See, it's not hard to find you. They use license plate readers to find you, tolls to find you. You know, they're snapping a camera, they're catching your license plate for a reason. That is a way to see your comings and goings, your movement, these turnpikes, all of that. They're tracking your movement along with the car. The car has maps and GPS and all of that. Your phone, they can get access to your phone and find out where you are. So you're not going to get away for long, okay? Um, he later pulled into a Chubby's Travel Center and Valero gas station in Natalia, Texas, where he fled from his vehicle as law enforcement officials arrived on the scene. So let's set the scene. Excuse me. He's in Texas. He is driving around. He's noticing that he's probably being followed, being tracked. Law enforcement is going to eventually pull his vehicle over. So he pulls into this gas station, and then law enforcement is right behind him. So he flees the vehicle. He doesn't want to turn himself in. He doesn't want to face the responsibility of what has happened in Illinois. So he runs off. He runs away from the car, from the gas station area, okay? And they're after him. They consider him to be a danger, a threat. They're going to try to, if possible, try to take him into custody. So they have to pursue him because he's considered armed and dangerous to law enforcement. And this is what happens. Let's continue reading. So he later pulled into a Chubby's Travel Center, Valero gas station in Natalia, Texas, where he fled from his vehicle as law enforcement officials arrived on the scene. They found him. Now, what does he do? U.S. Marshals followed Nance as he ran from the car and rounded the corner of the gas station. Officers and federal agents chased Nance, who later and unalived himself. So he still was carrying a GUN, and he unalived himself. He wasn't going to be taken into custody, okay? Basically cornered, said Medina County, Texas Sheriff Randy Brown. And at some point in there, he took his own life. And you know, we never want to see anybody take their own life. We don't get any pleasure, no joy out of reading that or hearing that. You know, we don't want anybody to be harmed. But I do want people to have an understanding that people don't want to be accountable. So they may go out this way and choose this way to have control over their ending and not take responsibility, okay? Mr. Nance's reign of terror on our communities in Will County is now over, Jungles added. With so much sadness that surrounds these incidents, it is time for our communities to come together and heal. Evans said Nance has an extensive criminal record. Nance's prior arrest records indicated that he was arrested for aggravated discharge of a weapon involving a woman. Court records show Nance was out on bond in connection with that 2023 shooting case and was still awaiting trial. When asked if Joliet police had ever been called to the homes of West Acres Road for domestic related cause, Evans would not say. He would only say that Nance had a long criminal background and was known to police. Meanwhile, Evans said during the investigation into the Acres Road murders, they were also looking for a 3-year-old who was unaccounted for but who was later found with family in a nearby community. Police did not say how the toddler was connected to these crimes. President Biden's statement on shooting. On Wednesday, President Joe Biden released a statement about the crime, saying that he and Jill are praying for the family of the 8 victims and the community impacted by the shootings. Federal law enforcement agencies assisted local law enforcement with the investigation. This tragedy underscores why I am doing everything in my power to keep GUNs off our streets and out of the hands of those who seek to harm themselves or others, Biden said. It's why my administration is strengthening the gun background check system and cracking down on gun trafficking through the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. It's why I've taken dozens of executive actions to strengthen gun safety and end the gun violence epidemic. And it's why I continue to call on Congress to pass universal background checks and a national red flag law, in addition to other common sense gun safety measures. It is within our power to stop the epidemic of gun violence tearing our communities apart. Congress must act now. Well, I don't have any statement about the president's statement. I think part of it is when you have poverty, when you have a system that is designed to be, it's very hard to get out of poverty. Um, it's difficult when you have these cities across the country that do not receive resources, that do not have opportunities, do not have good schools, they're in poor neighborhoods, they're overlooked for funding and resources and development when it's very hard to pull yourself out of a systematic way of growing up um, with all of the weaker services and you're lacking so much. You could have generations upon generations of struggle. People are angry, people are tired, people feel that they're forgotten. Their neighborhoods are forgotten. They're dilapidated. The housing is dilapidated. Everything is going up. Food, house repairs, vehicles, rent, and you don't see that convert over into your pay. So you have to look at this as a multi-tiered approach. Of course, we want universal background checks, but we also um, want people that want to be police officers. We want to also have community policing. We want services for people that do struggle with their mental health. Um, we need access to affordable care. It's just so many things that affect these instances where you have exposed anger, rage. We have some needs even in the criminal justice system that we need to improve. So I definitely see it as a multi-tier approach. Okay. Now there was one more article I was going to go over. Um, I don't know how significant this is because I don't read the articles before. So um, there was some talk about the investigation and that um, they were going to do some charges against the Sagan's girlfriend. So let's just go over that article real quick. It's by ABC7Chicago.com. It's dated January 25th, 2024. The writers are Mahir Kawash and Trey Ward. The title of the article is Joliet News. Girlfriend of Will County murder spree suspect released on monitoring for obstruction. Excuse me. The girlfriend of a Joliet area murder suspect looked distraught and emotional as she appeared in court Thursday morning. Joliet police said 21-year-old Kylie Cleveland Singleton made statements in an attempt to stop police from arresting her boyfriend, Romeo Nance, before he was found unalive in Texas. Cleveland Singleton was taken to Will County Jail as she's charged with obstructing justice. She is also the mother of Nance's 3-year-old child. Okay, so that's the 3-year-old that they were looking for, who thankfully was unharmed. That's great. Okay, police said they first made contact with Cleveland Singleton when they were looking for his son Monday in the aftermath of the shootings. During the investigation, detectives were told the child may be with his mother and grandmother at home in Plainfield. Police went to that home where they found the child as well as Cleveland Singleton. While she voluntarily went with police for questioning about the shooting spree, detectives believe she made statements to prevent them from apprehending Nance and to obstruct the investigation. A Will County judge said Thursday the Safety Act forced the court to release her from custody since she is charged with a non-violent offense. Prosecutors said she does not fall into the legal scope for them to have asked for her to be detained. Police said Cleveland Singleton lied to them on Monday by saying she didn't have Nance's phone number. She faces 1 to 6 years in prison if convicted. Wow, that's a long time. She was ordered to remain on electronic monitoring as she stays with her mother until her next court appearance, February 8th. Nance allegedly went on a deadly shooting spree in the Joliet area on Sunday, shooting 9 people, 8 fatally. Nance took his own life during the confrontation. Excuse me. I need some water. I'm going to wrap this up. With Texas police Monday night, authorities said Joliet police released more information Wednesday on the 8 victims who Nance is accused of unaliving Sunday in 3 different locations, including his mother, brother, his 3 sisters, and his aunt and uncle. Wow. Tamika Nance, 47 years old, was the suspect's mother. So he had to be maybe his 20s. He was very young. Christine Esters, 38 years old, was the suspect's aunt. William Esters II, 35-year-old, was the suspect's uncle. Joshua Nance, 31 years old, was the suspect's brother. Wow. Alexandria Nance, 20 years old, was the suspect's sister. 2 girls, 16 and 14, who their school identified them. I'm not going to say their name, okay? Were also sisters of the suspect. So allegedly, Romeo Nance unalived his mother, his uncle and aunt, his brother, and his 3 sisters. Wow, man, that's a hard one. On top of shooting at the man with the groceries that was not unalive, and then unaliving Mr. Bacardi, the man that was going to buy the cigarettes. It's like he tried to unalive his whole family. The closest people to him, his brother, his 3 sisters, his mom, his uncle, and his aunt. That's extremely sad. The incident has shaken the Joliet community as a memorial is now growing near one of the crime scenes on West Acres Road, honoring the victims. Jordan Killian had been representing Romeo Nance in an alleged road rage shooting last year that was awaiting trial. This is completely shocking. I didn't see this coming. And even when I heard the news that there was some sort of incident on West Acres, I started contacting the family because I knew the family lived there. Excuse me. I contacted Romeo thinking he might be in danger, Killian said. It was a good family. From what I understood, a tight knit family that supported each other. So it's just incredibly tragic. Nance is believed to have a criminal history, though police did not offer any further details. Police said on Tuesday that in cases like this, they may never know the motive behind the crimes. Joliet police asked anyone with information about the crimes to contact them. I really don't have um, too much of a comment. Um, that's really that's a sad situation when you have someone that is willing to execute their own family members, the closest people to them, people that they have lived with, that they grew up with, that they're seeing every day, people that you typically love and they love you, right? Sometimes it's just I don't know what the reason would be. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Just tragedy all around, sadness, um, just dismay. Very, very difficult to understand um, why somebody would do a crime as this against their own family members. That is the part that is not imaginable. It's not understandable. Um, it seems unprovoked. Um, it's not explainable. So, what I can take from this and what I also took from the Courtney Gordon case was we are given each day. Live your day to the fullest. Enjoy yourself. Be of happiness, joy, peace, and don't waste any of your day. We just don't know how much time we have on this earth, and we want to make sure we're living a full life. So I encourage you to be in peace and harmony and, live every day to the fullest that you can. Seek your desires in life and the fullness within. Okay. Thank you for checking out this video. Please remember, be smart, be safe, be savvy. Hidden horror. It is a hidden horror. It's a hidden horror out here. And you just don't know how another person feels and what they're thinking. So be well, be smart, be safe, and be savvy. Take care. Enjoy your Saturday evening. I will see you soon in a video. Okay? And check out some of my other videos. Bye, all my friends. Have a good night.